think, well, some of you may be aware, most of you may be aware that we did have a hazing incident on campus. Most of what's been in the collegian is pretty much the facts regarding the case, but I do have a statement that I read yesterday to the board, and I've updated it today, so let me read the first statement regarding hazing so I can update everyone on that situation. The Office of Student Conduct was notified on October 26th by the Office of Greek Life that a student brought forth allegations of hazing against Kappa Delta Rho fraternity. We took immediate and appropriate action. The national officers of KDR were notified. Interviews were held by both representatives from the national organization and the Office of Student Conduct with all of the new members for this organization. All of the active members were also interviewed. Information gathered from the interviews confirmed the allegations of hazing of the hazing policy, or violations, of the hazing policy had occurred. As a result, the National Office of KDR has suspended the chapter for 1 year, during which time the chapter will undergo reorganization. The chapter will also remain on probation for 1 year following the suspension. The Office of Student Conduct and Judicial Life will the Office of Student Conduct conducted a judicial hearing with the organization today and reaffirmed the sanctions from the national organization. The Office of Greek Life will work closely with the national organization regarding the reorganization and the conditions of the probation. Charges are also being brought against individual members of the fraternity as well. So that's an update regarding the fraternity hazing situation. Any questions regarding that? Okay, the other item was the letter that I received from the Spectrum regarding position for LGBT. I just want to say that I sent out a letter to Spectrum, basically reaffirming my own personal values as it relates to support of LGBT, those of our division and those of the institution. My plan is to have a meeting this Friday, November 20th at 3 o'clock. Anyone who's interested can attend. The invitation has been sent out to Spectrum and I believe to the LGBT Advisory Committee. Is that correct, Michelle?
Jim should be sending that out if he hasn't already.
Okay. And so are there any questions regarding that? Okay. The next thing that I wanted to talk about then was maybe just read to you the couple of questions that we received on Facebook. One is from Ashley Lashaw, L-A-S-H-U-A-Y, maybe it's Lachey. The parking situation. Whose idea is it to do construction on the parking garages during the school week when there aren't enough spots already? And it was closed off on Wednesday, but there was no one up there working on it. I sent this to Chuck Leonard, who forwarded it to Doug Collins, who's responsible for that area, and this is the response. In response to Ashley's question, typically, we would do maintenance of the parking lots, roads, and garages over the summer months. The situation in the west garage is an emergency repair that needs to be completed before winter temperatures hit. A full depth replacement needs to be completed, meaning we have to saw cut a hole between the levels of concrete. This takes prep work of material and effects multiple levels for each pour. Curative time, 5 to 6 days. I apologize for any inconvenience. We will have all the work completed in the west garage by the end of the month. The second question that we got was from Hillary Litter, and that question is, we should talk about getting some sort of shuttle service to apartments within a 1 to 3 mile radius of campus, and not just the block over from campus. Steve Wise, who's responsible for transportation services, responded. Kaye, regarding Hillary's submittal to Student Speaks, we currently do service University Hills via the Driscoll bus stop and Old Town via the Blue and Gold loops, which are in close proximity to main campus, but we certainly do not service all apartments within close proximity. We could service more apartments within 1 to 3 miles of campus with more funding. Our buses cost approximately $50 per hour when we consider fuel, labor, repairs, insurance, depreciation, and overhead. Our primary goal is to transport students, faculty, and staff to and from campuses. We then add apartments that are along the campus to campus routes if the apartments have a major student population. There are also timing issues associated with route planning to make certain that no student has to ride a bus for more than 20 minutes. this sometimes excludes apartment stops. Those were the two questions that we had from our Facebook account. With that said, I think the next thing we'll do is just open up for individual questions. Crystal?
Have we made any progress on the mini pod or whatever it's called for the quad? You said we could have it by spring semester.
Yes, I have asked David Ward to look into that. David is away from campus. I expect him to be back, I think, later this week, by Monday at the latest. And I will send out a response. And actually, I'll post something on Facebook for that, an update on that by Monday. Brad?
I know Spectrum made yourself and the Dean of Students aware of incidents of harassment towards LGBT people at the homecoming game. And I was wondering what steps are being taken to reduce the overall hostile campus climate towards LGBT people.
Well, first of all, let me say that we have a zero tolerance for any sort of harassment. When situations are brought to our attention, we do an investigation. What I encourage people to do is to, as soon as it happens, we have several options. You can call UT Police Department. If we have, you can bring it to the attention of a staff member if a staff member is close by. We have to have the names and more specificity. If we have names of individuals, we will not hesitate to bring charges against them under the Code of Conduct. And so right now, in terms of, that's one of the things that really concerns me in the letter, the incidents that are described in the letter. If you can bring us names and information that we can go after individual students or groups, we will gladly do that. Again, I think let's make sure that we call UTPD because that's, again, intolerable. You can talk to any staff member at the university, but bring it to our attention immediately so that we can follow up in a timely manner and identify the individuals involved. Michelle?
Yeah, and they did. This was brought to us, right away. And we don't have any names of individuals. It was reported that members had Greek letters, which we have many organizations on campus that aren't social organizations, so that wear Greek letters. So we cannot determine without knowing what the letters are exactly who it was or what chapter. But one of the things that we talked about, the advisory council is doing some education, and I think that expands past the social Greek organizations to other student organizations. That was one of the things we wanted to talk about in the advisory council, and I'd love to hear what Spectrum thinks how we should proceed as well.
I have a question. This past week at Spectrum, we passed a survey around to our members, and we asked, one of the questions that we asked was, do you feel safe at UT's campus? And in regards to LGBT issues, and 2/3 of the people who filled out this survey said they disagree, with many more saying they strongly disagree. So if there was something that you could say to these people to alleviate these fears, what would that be? So hopefully then we can pass that along at our meeting that's this Thursday.
I think the most important thing to say is that institutionally, personally, visually, this is something that's intolerable. It's against the law, it's against our policies. And so, again, it's as soon as we get this information, first of all, I will have a conversation with Chief Newton to make him aware of this so that the awareness from the UTPD could be raised. I will also talk about this in our, we actually have a Student Affairs Leadership Team meeting this Friday. We'll talk about it there because I think it's important that staff realize that this is an issue in the way students feel. But again, if we know about specific situations or incidents, the sooner we know about that with the detailed information, we will not hesitate to contact and to bring charges and take appropriate action against students, organizations, whatever. It will not be tolerated. We have a zero tolerance for that. So again, if you have ideas, please share them with us. But again, I think it's important, I think, to raise the awareness, to talk about it and make sure that, again, staff are talking about it, to make sure that the police is aware of it, and that we will take swift, to know that we'll take swift and appropriate action. Rachel?
To go along with that, I think you're aware of the resolution that passed for student government of the diversity workshop being mandatory for freshman students. If not, I know Michelle knows.
I'm aware of it. I don't know the details.